Hello everyone, this is Endgame Arts with another unboxing, another offline gaming experience. This is Chasm for the PlayStation 4, but please keep in mind this was played on my PlayStation 4 Pro, as well as that this physical copy is a physical copy from Limited Run Games, so getting a copy will not be the easiest. Now this physical copy comes with the update version 1.08 already on the disc, even though when you look at the update history it says 1.06. Now I only thing I can think of why this is just different between them both is that probably the PC version is within the range of 1.06, but the console version is 1.08. They probably had to do a little bit more updating and tweaks to be done for the console version than what they had to do with the PC version, and that's probably why there's two different variations of the same physical copy. So just keep in mind that this is, although it says 1.06, it is actually 1.08, and there were no updates available. So this is the most updated version of the game physically available at the time of making this video. So it is nice to know that Limited Run Games did make sure that everything was on the disc before they made the physical copy. I know it was a little bit confusing, a lot of information right then and there, but I thought I'd make it clear. As well as that this physical copy did get a physical copy print for Vita and the Switch, so in case you are interested in those platforms for the game. Now, if you don't know nothing about Chasm, it is a Metrovania random generated level design, where it is Metrovania, typical 2D sprite graphics. You go through the game, you get more abilities, you equipment and so forth, and it allows you to progress certain areas. The thing that makes it shine separately from its normal Metrovanias is that it's got a random generated levels, so every time you start up a new campaign, it's a different layout. Now, some of the areas will still remain somewhat the same to keep some continuity and make sure that you don't have an area that you need to get to but is now out of reach. So there's at least some balance within that area from what little experiments I've done with the random generation. But overall, the overall experience with the random generation and me 100% in the game, I don't think it was ultimately the best choice, as I oftenly found that what I love about Metrovanias is oftenly the level design. I love the connection between all the worlds and the different environment. And I understand with a random generated level like this, sometimes you can't have the same quality of production for every single sections of the level because each level design has to match for that random generation. So a lot of areas do feel very generic and plain, and generally are just a long hallway with a bunch of enemies and some random platforming here and there. And so it doesn't really feel very unique and makes that area stand out. And as well as that, oddly enough, with the story and the character and the universe, I often found myself I really wanted to explore the outside of the world than actually just staying within this cave. Though the cave does vary in environments, there's a garden, there's a magma level, there's a keep, there's a catacombs, and then there's the typical mines. So it does vary in artistic design, but it just feels like you're trapped within this mine. And it just, more and more I've read about like the universe outside and the characters, it just made me want to go out more, explore, than just staying within the mines. But it's not like I'm trying to say the game is overall bad. It still has the fun progression systems where you kill enemies, get experience, you level up, get an equipment, which is also random generated. There's a lot more equipment in terms of like you can get the base version, the magical version, and the mythical or rare, super rare legendary version of the same equipment. So there's a lot of chances and randomness to the game. The overall combat is a hit and miss for me. I do want to point out immediately, I do think it's odd that the box art shows the main character with a shield, even though I played the entire game and 100% it, and not a single moment in the game do you get a actual physical shield. There's a magical spell that works as somewhat like a shield, but it doesn't like prevent projectiles from hitting you. It's just if enemies get too close, they take damage. So it's a little odd that the cover art shows a shield even though you can't use a shield. But the combat has some things that really bugged me in terms of when you attack, you can't move or do any actions, so you're pretty much standing there as an open target. So you get in the hang of jump swinging, where you just constantly jump swing, because when you do jump swing, you can change the trajectory of your movement, so you can like slash and back up at the same time. I just didn't understand why I had to jump every time. So you're going to be getting the hang of jump shooting or jump swinging in this game a lot. As well as that, sadly, the offhand, your main hand is your main weapon, and your offhand is what you use for spells. I thought this was a missed opportunity, as there's a lot of varieties of enemies and designs, and each weapon you get can have a different combat. Like there's a heavy sword that does an overarch swing, and you get a spear that's got longer distance, and your normal hand swords that's got a close range kind of approach, and it's a little bit faster. I thought what could have been an opportunity was to include all these weapons. You can equip like some of them and be able to switch them out on the go depending on the situation, and it just would have been better, because I found myself having to go to the item inventory, go to equipment, change my equipment to defeat this one enemy because this equipment was better for fighting that enemy, and then immediately after I killed him I had to go back and switch back to my original weapon. It just was a little tedious, and I didn't actually find very much uses for a lot of the spells other than the throw dagger, the protective shield I was talking about earlier ago, and the Molotov. Everything else didn't really seem all that useful to me, and I barely even used the Molotov. I only used it for like one boss. But the protective shield is the one you're going to be abusing the most, as well as the throw dagger, especially if you get it max level. Then, like I said, it's got some good ideas and good designs, and I try not to be too harsh with indie developers, as I do understand and know that being a small studio and trying to do what you can is not easy. I try to be a little bit more forgiving with indie developers and smaller studios than I am with AAA studios. But overall, I'm just kind of glad I'm done with it. I wanted to move on. By the end of it, I was ready to move on and just go and focus on other stuff. The game isn't super hard, but then again, I did play it on hard, and there is a nightmare difficulty, and there's like a Iron Maiden like style where if you die, it's permanent death. So there's that as well. I think the game is worthy to check out if you're a Metroidvania fan, and it may be a good starting point if someone's never played a Metroidvania. But if you've got a library of experience with Metroidvanias, like if you played Hollow Knight, Blasphemous, and then there's several other more, like even the Shanti games, it does feel very barren. It's like, on the surface, it looks like a deep ocean that it's got a lot of content, especially with the random generator. But when you jump into it, you realize that the water is only like to your ankles deep. So, in my opinion, it's well worth looking into, but I wouldn't go out of your way, especially if you're going to try to get a physical copy, as of course it's a limit run physical copy, so getting a copy could be quite expensive. I definitely recommend probably looking first into maybe digitally downloading it, just to support developers and see if it may be something you would willing to spend big buku bucks from a third-party seller. So in my personal opinion, just take a glance at it. Don't go out of your way with it, but it's still fun. I'm still glad to have it on my shelf, and hopefully their next project with the random generator, which I do enjoy, and I think they can do a lot more with it if they can just maybe a sequel, or I'm mostly hopefully for a sequel. They can expand upon it and not just be within this cave, but the actual world and the story, because on some regards I did get some kind of Final Fantasy Tactics feel out of it, out of the characters and some of the story elements in the game. So in my personal opinion, I think they tried their best, and I think it's decent. It's just decent. So like always, I try to leave links down in the description if you're instant copy. Like I said, it's a limited run game, so it might be a little expensive. It's available on the Nintendo Switch and the Vita, so it might be good to pick up on the Vita since that's not getting the same support anymore. But like always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!